Hello, Gravy Trainers. It's me, Gravy Trading, with a requested video here on my Organise Your Arbitrage spreadsheet. This was requested by Jimmy Shrimp in the beginner's chat, and it's intended to give you guys an idea of what to expect before purchasing this spreadsheet off of my Gumroad. And so it's normally $24.99. Yeah, normally $24.99 on Gumroad, but members of the Gravy Train get this for 50% off, so £12.50. One-off fee. It's not a subscription fee. It's just £12.50, and you get access to a blank version of this spreadsheet. I created this originally for myself. I created a spreadsheet to keep track of all of my buying activities, my selling activities, all of my expenses when I turn into a sole trader, and I still use this spreadsheet even as my limited company, but it is really more suited to only if you're a sole trader or if you're starting to operate like a business before becoming a sole trader. And I've said a few times, you need to get used to bookkeeping and keeping good records, ins and outs, buys, sales, and anything related to packaging or mileage, that kind of thing, anything you'll need to take seriously as a business. It's good practice to start using something like this. So I suggest to you either make your own, or £12.50, you'll get this, and it's an out-of-the-box, pretty easy to use version, as long as you don't mess with it. So let's get some of the boring stuff out of the way. Firstly, I suggest you read this first page entirely if you do purchase it, because it goes through everything you've got to do on each of the tabs. And one of the big things to remember here is that this is not a substitute for professional advice. It's simply a way to manage all of your costs and expenses as well as sales and get you a profit figure for the year. It won't work out how much tax you got to pay, because your own personal tax situation will define how much tax you actually need to pay to HMRC. You need to speak to an accountant. You need to get an accountant on top of that, okay? So let's go through it. So first things first, we have different tabs along the bottom. You can see there's ones that are highlighted in green. If we go along here, there we go. You've got business mileage, you've got other allowable expenses. So the ones highlighted in green are the only tabs that you need to actually add data to and modify. Everything else, do not touch it. Let it update itself. You don't need to add any data into any of the other tabs, so it's just the green ones. The first tab here is a handy little calculator, which you can use for working out your potential profit and ROI on Facebook and eBay. This is a quite recent addition to this spreadsheet, and it tells you how to use this. On this particular tab, you're just entering data into the green sections. The yellow bits will automatically update. This is assuming everyone's not VAT registered, this calculator. So it's quite good. You can use the eProfit app. I do suggest that as well. But if you just want to do it in a spreadsheet like this, it's quite easy to put in. So something costs £50. Estimate the shipment to be £4. Sales price is, you're aiming for 125. Assuming it's 100% fees charge, you're going to make 114% return, 50% profit. You can do the similar, compare it to Facebook, and obviously you're going to make a hell of a lot more of a return on Facebook without the fees. So it's a nice little calculator. I use that myself as well for eBay, and if you need to put any promo adjustments in here, like £1 fees, for example, you might just say it's 1% of fees charged, and that gives you a nice idea. So that's the Profit and ROI Estimator. This is where we get deep into what the spreadsheet can do. Let me just take that out. Okay. What we have here then is an inventory breakdown and an inventory table. This is the main part of the spreadsheet you will live in when you're making changes to it. The only things that you're entering into here are things that you are buying. And I would suggest to everybody that you enter lines of data every time you buy something. So one line, right click insert, that would be one item. So if you buy 5, you need to be selecting 5 lines, like so. I can't do it there. Select 3 and insert rows. Select another one, insert row. There you go, you got 5. So if you bought 5 of something, let's do a test one. 30, 08, 21. Let's say, I don't know, something Pokemon. Try and get your descriptions specific so you don't forget. Random store. Purchase price £15. And here you want to be selecting what stage it's at. This is quite good. It's a drop down and it will match these different stages to what's up here in the breakdown, and it'll automatically populate the figures in there. So if you haven't listed the item yet on any platform like Amazon or eBay, say you're buying it to hold it, you'll put not listed after you've bought it. So you own it, but you just haven't listed it somewhere. You've got other options like awaiting delivery. So let's say we bought these in Asda and we listed them immediately on Amazon. Let's use that as an example. So you press listed and it selects this all in green, and you can see up here it's added it to there. Let's just change that. Keep an eye on the 25. It's going to drop down to 20. There you go. So it's automatically updating your total cost of inventory up here. So you leave that in the spreadsheet. If you've bought 5 of them, we'll do a Control C, so copy, Control V, paste. Now I'm not going to teach you how to use Excel, guys. You're going to have to do your own homework on how to use Excel, but I will show you how to use a spreadsheet. So now you've got 5 items bought for 25 quid, and if we ignore this test dummy data, you've got £125 of inventory. Great. And let's say we now buy something else. We buy some Lego. Just put Lego in there. Again, put a proper description. Say we was in Asda, we bought some Lego for £10, but we decide we're going to hold this until next Q4 maybe. We'll select not listed, and it's changed it to a totally different colour. It may seem a bit of a gimmick, but when you get a huge amount of inventory, it's really helpful to, at a glance, be able to see what is a hold, i.e. not listed, what is sold, what you're waiting for delivery for. Each of those different statuses here will automatically populate that row in the colour that relates to it. So it'll be matching colour up here. It makes it look pretty as well. Then what you want to do, okay, so you've bought all this stock. The time-consuming bit is when you sell things. You want to get into a habit of doing this maybe once a week, twice a week, even once a day if you're selling a lot. You need to be manually updating the fees, sale price, and everything to give yourself a good reflection of what's going on in your business. So let's say Pokemon here, we listed this on Amazon. It sold 2 days later. So let's put in sale date 1st of the 9th. What I do is I go into the Amazon transactions page and I look at the sale date on there. So I'm consistent with the sale date on there, whether it's FBA or FBM. I will input that as the sale date because that's the day that Amazon officially are saying it's sold. So you'd input that. You change the status to sold. So we're not adding a new line when it sells or putting it in another spreadsheet, another tab. It's just modifying the existing line and converting it to sold. So put that date in. You can put in Amazon. If you want to put in the order ID from Amazon to match that transaction, in case, say, someone returns it, you want to make sure what item it was, you can do that. It's an extra bit of admin for you, but it may benefit you. Same thing with sold to. You might want to put the name of the person. If it's on Facebook, you're more likely to just put sold to rather than an order ID. That's quite handy in case anybody comes back to you. Payment method, Amazon's all the same, but if it's Facebook, you might want to put cash in. These fields are all typable, so you can type them in. And the important bit of information is the sale price. So you'd get that off of Amazon. So we'll say that's 57 quid. And what you get is an automatically updated field here. It will automatically say, okay, that's made £22 profit. If you're doing FBA, you won't have any postage and packages fees, but if you do FBM, you need to put that in. So when you book your shipping, type that in. This is Amazon, so we're going to put in the Amazon selling fees. Another fee and another bit of data you need to get off of the transaction reports on Amazon, okay? So find the selling fees column. It'll be against the sale price and put that in there. So say it's £12.13. And that, for that sale, will give you a total cost. So add all your fees onto the cost price of the item. It will then work out what the profit is for the item and give you an overall ROI after what I call the item level fees. So the item level fees are any fee directly associated with selling that item. So it is really Amazon fees, eBay fees, and postage and packaging. That's it. Oh, and the cost of the item. So you get a nice snapshot here of what actually is a good selling item for you, good profit, good ROI. You can sort by any of these if you want. So you say largest to smallest. So you can see what is really selling at good profit for you and what isn't. So once you start building all of that up, you're going to want to see, okay, how much am I actually making each month? We're going to skip through to this one here, so monthly sales breakdown. I'll press on that one. This gives you a snapshot of what you're selling and how much profit you're making in that month. With any of these, what we call pivot tables, you need to be right-clicking and hitting refresh to update the data. There you go. Unfortunately, Microsoft Excel doesn't automatically update. You've got to press refresh. This will give you a month by month breakdown of all of the profit that you're making. So it's not the prettiest, most pretty presented table, but it's very straightforward. It breaks down all of some of the cost of the goods, some of the postage packaging, some of the Amazon seller fees, and some of the sale price, and works out profit for you. So based on that info we just put in, we've made £19 profit so far in September. If you want to see that in a more of a pretty graph, we're going to go back and go to this summary page. So it's going to take all the information out of here and put it in a nice graph for you. So that's automatically filled this information in here. Ignore this div 0 and ignore this. This is the dummy data that was already in the spreadsheet. But this row here is showing you what profit we've made. So it's taking that information from this table and it's bringing it into this chart or table for you, just to make it a bit clearer. So we've made £19 profit because of the Pokemon sale, which is 79% return. And as you go through, let's do some test ones. Hopefully this works. Yeah. It will join these lines up for you, and it will have a ROI line, and it will have I think it's got an ROI line. I think it might just have a total profit line, actually. It will show you your profit month on month as it goes along. So that's a nice little feature. Right, so once you're on top of your inventory and you've got all your buys and your sales in, you're going to want to take advantage of these other tabs I've created here. One of them I really like is this stock level tab. So every time you add an item into your inventory that hasn't sold yet, it will populate that item down here, and it will show you the total cost of all of that stock and the number of items you have. So you can sort and show, okay, what is most of my money in, which item is most of my money in, which item have I got the most of. So you can start putting a strategy together thinking, okay, I really need to start moving this because 50% of all my money is in this item. That's quite a nice little feature to give you a snapshot of what stock that you've got. Another one here, monthly purchases. Really, as a reseller, you're going to want your spending to be going up every single month on stock. If you want your sales to be going up, you're going to be wanting to increase your spend. So you can have a snapshot here of everything you're buying, how much it's costing you each month. So you might find in September you've spent £500 on stock, and then in October you spent £600 and £700. It's a good sign if it's going up. So that will give you a nice graph automatically updated based on what you're putting in this inventory tab. So we've been through monthly sales breakdown. The other one here we have is cost of goods sold versus sale price. It's getting a bit technical here. We're looking at two lots of data. We're looking at if we look at September, that information we're just putting in, we're saying, okay, so the blue section is £57. So that Pokemon sold for £57. Okay, what percentage of that 57 was the actual cost price of the item? And that is represented by this red bar. So really, you want to be keeping the red in each bar as small as possible, as small a percentage as possible. The smaller it is, basically, the bigger your profit margin and the bigger your ROI. If it's through the middle, it means it's 50%. And if it's a lot higher, it means it's more than 50%. i.e., if it's a lot lower, it means it's more than 50% ROI. So the smaller that red section, the more ROI you're making for each item. Okay, so that's all of the purchasing and selling parts of the spreadsheet. Now, this is the next part that a lot of you are going to be interested in, and how do I add in other costs associated with running a business, whether that be a sole trader business or limited. You will have other costs, not just the fees associated with selling. You'll have other things to consider. And this is the part of the spreadsheet where we start recording and collecting that information. First tab here then, business mileage. The rules when it comes to business mileage, some of you may be aware, some may not. If you are traveling in a vehicle entirely for business reasons, i.e. you're going out to a shop to buy an item, or you're delivering something to somebody on Facebook, or you're going to, collect something from the post office, anything related to entirely doing business mileage, you can record and get paid 45 pence back from the government for every single mile you do. That seems like a lot. Reason it's 45 pence is because it allows for all wear and tear on your vehicle as well. So it's not just fuel, it's wear and tear. I would suggest to you all that you do not worry about receipts for fuel unless you have a vehicle that is entirely for the business and you only use it for business. I'd expect most of you won't have that, and you'll have a vehicle used for personal and for business, in which case getting a receipt and matching that up to what was business is going to be very difficult. You do not need receipts if you're tracking business mileage for a personal vehicle that you're also doing business miles with. You just need to have a good set of record keeping. If you're not sure about this, speak to an accountant. They should agree with me here. You do not need receipts. You just need to be able to demonstrate that you've kept good records. Pretty straightforward this. Let's say we went to Asda, bought this Pokemon stuff today. We're putting the date as the 30th of the 8th. We're going to put in whatever you want, really, just so it's obvious. Sourcing. You don't have to put the stores in. I could just say Peterborough. Just something so it's a record. And we put in the reason. Again, whatever works for you. I put in product sourcing. How you track the mileage is up to you. I go on Google Maps at the end of the day and right, where have I been today? I type in the postcodes. I do a route. So starting from my own address, going to the shops, coming back to my own address. Don't forget the back because the commuting counts. You come up with the total mileage. Let's say it's 22 miles. You put that in there and you put in 45 pence and it'll give you total claimable. So in August now, we've done £9.90 worth of fuel that we can claim back. That's a lot of money for 22 miles. So make sure you are recording your business mileage. Otherwise, if you do not claim that back, you will pay tax, and more tax than you need to on that. Very important. The reason you need to type 45 pence in is because the law allows for 10,000 miles per calendar year, or per 12 month, I think, or per tax year. I think it's per tax year. So you can do 10,000 miles at that 45 pence rate. Anything above 10,000 miles drops to 25 pence or 20 pence, one of the two. I doubt you'll do that many unless you're Findex, who's probably done that already. But 45 pence, 10,000 miles, it equates to £4,500 a year. That will directly stop you from paying that as tax. Okay, so record it. When you input that in there, it will pull the information through to this table, which is a summary of it. Again, you're going to need to refresh that just to see it. It's been pushed through there to August. So it's saying in August, we've spent £9.90 on business mileage. The other tab we've got here for expenses is this other green one. Remember I said anything with green, you need to be adding data into. So this green tab here is other allowable expenses. We've got a whole selection here of things that are classed as an allowable expense. We'll run through these quickly. So all of these are deductible, tax deductible, i.e. it deducts from the amount of tax you have to pay. In here, we want to be inputting any costs for sending stock into Amazon for FBA. So let's say we did a box into Amazon today. You need to insert a line in, and it will come up in your, when you're creating the shipment, how much it costs. Let's say it's £4.50. We'll put that in there. You can use this column to put the ID, shipment ID in if you want. Doesn't really matter. Put that in there. You can use the same row for any costs on a certain day, so you don't have to put another row in for something else you spent money on the 31st. You can put them all in here. Other things like packaging, say you're buying loads of boxes from somewhere, they cost 30 quid, put them in there. Return postage, this is for if you're recalling something from Amazon. Say you had stock in there and you wanted to recall it because it wasn't selling. Say it's £4.50 on the 31st. Amazon Pro account, that's the fees associated with having the Amazon Pro account. All of that you can claim back as running a sole trader. So let's say we get a bill through on the 4th of September for the Pro accounts. We put a new line in. It's about 30 quid, I think. So put that in there. You've got Amazon storage fees as well. Monthly fees come through to your Amazon account for storing items FBA. So you want to be recording that. Other column we got here is accountant fees. When you all get an accountant on, they're probably going to charge you some fees, maybe every month reoccurring. They might just do it at the end of the year. However they do it, you need to record it and deduct it from your profits. These other columns are also quite handy. Group subscriptions, believe it or not, if you're signed up to a reselling group, that is a tool you use for your business, so you can deduct that off of any profits again. So it is a business expense. So minimize the amount of tax you pay by claiming these sort of things, guys. So every single month, record it in here. So maybe it's 50 quid a month for you. Record it in there. If you use two groups, they bill you on different days. Put a new line in, record it. So you might end up with, I don't know, 125 quid a month for groups. Buybot Pro, you can use this for, if you're subscribed to Buybot Pro, your monthly fee. If you subscribe to any other software like SAS, SellerAmp, use that field for it. Please do not rename these fields because it will mess up your spreadsheet, okay? So just use that field if you've got something like SAS. So we can say it's 20 quid a month. Source Mogul, if you use that, might be 75. And other, use this for whatever you want. If you put something in other, say it costs you £15 a month, maybe rental of storage space. It's obviously not going to be 15 quid, let's put 100. 100 quid a month. Rather than rename the column, which will mess up the spreadsheet, right click and put new note and just say storage costs. So when you look back at your records and you hover over there, it will show you what it was, okay? If you know how to use Excel and you want to add columns, be my guest, but you'll have to fix it yourself if it messes up. So all that information will pull through to another summary table. Hit refresh. You see it's populated all of that data we just put into this tab, and it's showing you all of your expenses for each of those columns in the previous tab, and month on month it will start adding it all up. So great, we've got inventory costs, inventory sales, as well as the fees when we sell an item. And now we've also got the other expenses of running a business that aren't directly associated with that specific item sale. So we can see the profit we're making for each item. So we get a nice ROI and profit figure. So we can work out whether we want to buy more of them. But then we also have what we'd class as company overheads, which are the day-to-day costs of running a business. Add that all together and we'll get a snapshot of how well your business is actually performing. We've already seen this page, but we go back to summary and it's now pulled all of that information through. This should automatically update. It's pulled all that information through now. So all of your sales with your profit that we saw, and also all of those expenses have been pulled through. So for September, it's showing a massive loss because I've just input loads of massive expenses in. But if I go to inventory and, I don't know, let's say we actually had in September, where's that sold item? Let's say in September we actually had £2,000 worth of sales. Don't do that, obviously. You'd have 40, 50 items that would total up to 2,000. Let's say it was £2,000 worth of sales. If you come back to your, you got to refresh that. Refresh. There we go. You see, look, £2,000. We're now at £1,900 profit just on that item. You're never going to get that much profit off £2,000. If you go back to summary now, you see it's updated this automatically. It's taken that profit you've made from selling £2,000 worth of items, and then it's deducted all of those expenses we added in up here to give your business to give you an idea of how well your business is performing month on month. And what that is a collective, or what we call a net ROI figure after all of your allowable expenses. Okay, so that's business mileage, that's other allowable expenses, your postage, your storage costs, your subscriptions to groups, everything like that, all deducted off here. And it's going to reduce your profit. You may think, fuck, why is my profit reducing? That's no good. Well, in this game, you want to be making profit, but you want to be reducing it as well to lower your amount of tax payable. Because remember, the government's going to take 20% if you're a lower tax rate payer, or 40, 50% if you're a higher tax rate payer off any profit you're making. If you do not claim these things like group subscriptions, what you're going to have, if we didn't put those costs in, that would have been £1,900 profit. You're going to have to pay tax on £1,900, and you're also paying those group costs. So wouldn't you rather take them off here so you have to pay less tax and you've got your group costs covered? So just think about it. It's not a bad thing for your profit to be reducing. It's a good thing because you're not paying for it twice through tax and actually purchasing the tool. Okay. So there you go. You've got an overview of how these spreadsheets work. It will start really coming together when you've got lots of data in there. It's pretty user friendly. Like I say, I've used it for quite some time now, and it's great for inventory. It's great when you're a sole trader. I would not recommend it for a limited company for doing anything other than inventory management, because you've got so many other costs you've got to worry about. So have a read through the read this first. We've also got a version in Google Sheets, which is just here. So it's a mirror image really of the Excel version. Google Sheets I do really like because when you put all of your sales in, it automatically updates these tables. You don't need to do that manual refresh that you've got to do in Excel. You don't need to right click and refresh. So that's really good. Some people prefer Excel, some people prefer Google Sheets. It's exactly the same layout. You get the same from it. Summary, exactly the same as well. It's just horses for courses, really. So yeah, if you want to use this, go to my Gumroad. I'll put a link in the description section of this video. And if you've got any questions, drop me a DM. Cheers.